Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of TLP Live. Very happy to be with you tonight. Got a great show ahead for you. Hey, Paul, how we doing?
Hey, Dan, happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday to all the folks at home. How you doing?
Everything's just wonderful. How's it with you?
Now, wait a minute, Dan. Now, wait a minute. Something's changed. You look a little dapper over there. Did somebody get a haircut and a beard trim?
Well, the COVID beard, it was time to go. So, and my barber finally opened up, and my granddaughter said, "Hey, I'll help you cut that beard." So it was the weekend project. So,
All right. Well, you looking sharp, my friend. You looking very sharp tonight.
thank you, sir. Hey, we have a week coming up of education program. We want to make sure everyone is aware of. We've got an on-site workshop that starts tomorrow. We're going to do a little pop star party here. So we'll do some of it here and some of it at virtual. But it has been a lot of work prepping our site for bringing this camp in. All surfaces are sprayed down and cleaned with antimicrobial cleaner. We have the areas taped out on the ground and on the stairs for where people walk to go to the class and where they walk to leave. We have 2 people on site cleaning, so everything gets cleaned before, during, and after the workshop. So, but it's been quite an experience to go
Well,
through.
Dan, this is one of the things that we have always talked about, that if we were going to do something on campus, we were going to take safety, make it our major priority. And I think that it's really that we have done so for this week's workshops. We have limited the amount of enrollment.
Yeah.
We are doing it outside. Everybody is socially distanced. We have pick up and check in. Like that, people are just going to pull up in their cars. The kids are going to come out. They're going to be ushered to their seat. And we're going to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and yet still have an amazing experience with the kids. I think that this is going to really be for them. We have been in constant communication with all the parents, making sure that everybody's in communication with each other. So I think we're ready to go, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad we are doing our.
We talked with a couple of the parents
Yes.
last week just to make sure they were, still comfortable with coming on site, and they were like not only comfortable but excited, and they were glad to hear what we were doing to take care of things. So it'll be interesting to have people out at the theater out here on campus next week. So
yes, indeed, absolutely. But we also have a couple of other things that are going on, don't we, Dan? We have our virtual gala that will be coming up on 29th. We are deep in preparations for this right now. We are talking about how we're doing our online platforms. We're getting our live auction together, our silent auction together, our entertainment. I am very excited about this event, Dan. This is the first time that we will be doing a virtual gala. Hopefully it will be the last time, but we're having a good time.
We like it so much. We do several throughout the year. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll do both. Sure, why not? Can we talk a little bit about what our audiences are going to expect from this virtual gala?
Well, I think so. First of all, it starts at 7:00 on August 29th. We're going to have live auctions. We're going to have Fund the Need auction. There's going to be silent auctions and entertainment. Paul, can you tease any of the entertainment tonight?
I sure can, Dan. I'm going to give a little teaser. We have confirmed already that our music director for the evening is none other than Michael McBride, the recently Jeff Award-winning music director is going to be our music director. We also have alumni coming back that are confirmed, and I can let you know that we have coming back to perform for us that night. Daniel Schweitzer is coming back. He was here in 2010 and went on to Broadway and Newsies and many other shows. We've got Marcus Martin, who was in 2017's Carousel and a guest on TLP Live. He's confirmed. We have alumni Lori Empin from 1993. She's confirmed. She was also on the show. We have Elia Bodiger that's going to be coming on the show. And we have TLP. Yes, absolutely. And we have lots more in the pike right now, Dan, but I don't want to give too much away on the entertainment.
Well, that's already given me goosebumps. I tell you what, I am so looking forward to putting all this together. It's kind of nerve wracking because we don't typically have this kind of technology here. Because what we want to do is not only do we want to do what we're doing here, have several different places where our auctioneer will be in one area. We'll have our hosts in two different locations. But we want to zoom in on our patrons, on our gala partiers, revelers at home, and we want to zoom into the house and join the parties at different homes. And so we have 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks to figure all that out. But I know Bill worked very hard all last Thursday and Friday on a couple of different platforms, and I know you've reached out to a couple of theaters who have already done this, and we may work with them a bit. But it should be an incredible evening. I think we should tease the party box also.
Oh, let's tease the party box. Tease away, Dan. This
Look
is
at
the
that.
party.
There's the party box. Now you guys.
So what's going to happen is when people buy a ticket, they're going to get one of these boxes. Everyone who buys a ticket, this is a 2-person box. So if you buy a ticket, there's going to be enough in this box for 2 people. If you're going to have a party, I would recommend getting a box for every 2 people. And inside of this box, there's going to be all kinds of Timberlake memorabilia. We're going to have our featured shows that we're going to be doing. We're having a little something featuring the shows from next season. And, Dan, like you said, this is going to be as interactive as our audiences want it to be. So if you're somebody who wants to have the camera on and you want to be in the show and part of it and being able to check in with Dan and I and all of what's going on, you can do that. If you just want to sit back, put on your pajamas and kick it on old school with the Jumbotron on your TV, you could do that as well. We're really making it catered to everybody's individual tastes. And so that's what's going to be really exciting about this. But everybody's going to get a party in the box, and everybody's going to be able to participate in the show as we're going to put it on for them. And that is really the exciting part.
So I want to clarify that if, like, for example, my wife and I will buy a ticket, so I will get a party box and her stuff and my stuff will be in there. But if you are going to be joining us at the gala by yourself, you'll get your own party box with your stuff in it. So everybody, whether you're a single or a double ticket purchaser, you will get a party box with all the stuff in it. I want to tease one item.
Oh, come on. Box. Let's do it.
Which one should I tease, Paul?
I'm a big fan of the coaster, Dan.
And
there it is. Oh my goodness, look at that.
Everyone will get a coaster, and during the gala, there'll be a way to use the coaster. Yes, we will have very certain gala party drinks, just like when you'd come out to shows and we'd have a drink of the show. We're going to have several drinks of the gala. So
and we're going to actually have our very own Nicole be your virtual bartender. So Nicole will be coming on pre-show and during the show to be able to mix the drinks, show you how to mix the drinks so that you can enjoy them all at home. And we're going to also include more prizes to come. We're not going to give too much away today. We want to kind of tease it a little as we go on, but now is the time to buy your tickets because it's great to know that you're supporting TLP. Come bring the woods home to you. That's our theme for this one, bringing the woods home. I really hope that everybody can jump on. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to email us. You can email me or Dan or Bill. We're here for you. Ask us a question on social media. Make sure we get it answered. But the important thing is that it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're hoping that everybody starts to buy their tickets now because, again, Dan, in this COVID time, we really need the support to make sure that we're popping for next year. And we still want to give a great show because that's what we do. We put on a great show no matter if it's on stage in gathered or virtual. TLP is going to put on a great show. Promise you that.
Even though TLP is shuttered right now, the entertainment goes on, and it will be there at the virtual gala, August 29th. Don't miss it. Get your tickets and join us that night. Next week, hopefully we'll have some of our auction items that we can show, and we'll start getting those up on the website too for folks. But
that's right. Yeah, keep checking back with the website. We're going to be putting our silent items auctions up there. We're going to be talking about what you can do, how you can bid. Everything's going to be really, really very user friendly, and our staff is going to be here to walk everybody through. So that if you have any problems whatsoever, whether it be hooking up your computer or logging on, we are going to be here. So don't worry about that. You are supported. We've got you. Just get those tickets and let's have a great night. It's going to be fantastic.
And speaking of having a great time, we're going to have a great time tonight because we have two incredible guests. First of all, we're going to bring on from our 1980 company, and who also came back in 2016 and did a show with us, played Mama Rose in Gypsy, Miss Sandra Santiago. Hello, Sandra.
Hi.
Hey, Sandra.
How are you?
I'm very well. I've been looking forward to this all evening. I never know where to focus. I'm trying to focus.
You're doing fine. If you look straight
great.
ahead, it seems to work pretty well.
I'm here in my dining room, which is my, what do you call it, Zoom setup, not for auditions, because for auditions you have to have a white, a blackout paper there. I mean, a white piece of paper. But anyway, this is my dining room where I'm really very comfortable in, and my husband helped me set up the lights. Those round lights that everybody get now.
Oh, yes.
And
Of course. It's the big get.
yeah, what's funny is that Roger, not that I want to talk about him all night, but because I'm not, but he's a percussionist, and coincidentally, he was in Ain't Too Proud, which closed on Broadway. Anyway, so we're all out of work here, but he was also doing Mrs. Maisel. He got contact by he plays. If have you watched Mrs. Maisel?
Oh yeah. Big fan.
Okay, the band in when the character sings all the music.
Sure.
He's in that band.
Aha. Okay.
Anyway, they're trying to keep their show alive. So they required all the past performers to do a Zoom thing, and they sent us they sent Roger all this stuff to literally, be able to record his music in his music room. And so I'm using every light I could imagine.
Where are you sheltering in place right now?
A lot of light. Sorry?
Where are you sheltering in place right now?
I'm sheltering in my upstate house in an area that's very close between Port Jervis, New York, and Wurtsboro. W-U-R-T-Z. And it's our little funky house we've had for 13, 14 years. And we had to get out of New York City. We have an apartment in Manhattan in the West Village. And as you know, it was vital to get out of town.
Oh, yes.
We've been here pretty much the whole time, except for the few visits I've had for dental procedures, which is why I missed the first.
I was frantically texting you that night while we were doing our first.
Well, it's not that I had the procedure that night. I was in such pain.
Yeah.
And I literally forgot. And then at a certain point, I remembered. And I went, "Oh my God, I'll never make it," because I knew I couldn't put makeup on in time enough. And I felt so terrible. I called. My God, this is aging.
Yeah, I know.
When you just forget things.
Yeah.
Well, we got your call, and we know we're very happy to have you tonight.
Okay.
Very happy to have you tonight.
Our great director from Gypsy.
Yeah, Jim Beaudry.
Jim! Oh my God.
Yeah,
How can I forget his name?
yeah.
We had a long talk that night. I said, well, Jim, what happened? And anyway, here I am.
Well,
That's amazing.
Jim was on with us for quite a while that night, and we also had not Baby Rose, but
Louise.
yeah, Louise. There you go. We had her on that night, and of course, she's out doing Mean Girls right now on Broadway, or was in Mean Girls.
Right, she was. Poor thing. Her first big gig, and
yeah, she was like in it a week, and it closed. But she expects to be back when it opens back up. Hopefully, that'll work for her.
Yes. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, I hear a lot about which shows are coming back and which are not, but who knows, really? It all depends on finances. Poor Broadway. I mean, I'm not so sad about some of the producers because they've made money all these years, with big ticket prices.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that when Broadway comes back, that because of the situation, because Broadway has been literally closed down, and I drove through about a month ago. I purposely took a drive from coming into the city from Harlem all the way through to 7th Avenue and Broadway. And I got to tell you, it is so sad. When I was doing Broadway, a couple of Broadway shows, I always did a Broadway show every 7 or 10 years. And I remember complaining about all the people on the streets, and I can't stand it. They walk slow and they're always looking up and, Now I could kick myself because I want them back. I want them back for the city. It's so vital to have theater. It's so vital to have Timberlake, and that's why I'm here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And speaking of that, why don't you tell our audiences a little bit about your journey, kind of where you started, where you come from, and how you found your way to Timberlake.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a long story since I'm I lost you.
No, we're still here. We're just featuring you right now.
Oh, I see.
We're zooming in on you.
Well, okay. I born in the Bronx. We moved to Miami, Homestead, Florida. I go to University of Miami. I'm studying special ed, but some guy asked me to be in a play on the campus. And I thought he was trying to come on to me, but it was legitimate. And so I did this play called The Student by Eugene Ionescu. And I had no idea of theater at all. No knowledge of it, nothing. I wasn't studying. I admire theater actors. I admire actors. I was a big Hollywood freak. I watched the Oscars every year. And I found myself acting in college. And then ultimately, the directors encouraged me to stay. And so then I became an actor. But before I thought of going to New York or to LA, University of Miami is a great school, by the way, and I got the most incredible theater training there. I finally switched from special education to theater, and they literally threw me on the stage in a thrust stage, very small little stage called the Ring Theater. And I did everything from Sweet Charity to Played Against Sam, Pippin, Anything Goes. They just threw me on. I guess I was a singer all the while because I started singing in Catholic school in the choir. So my singing chops were pretty good. I listened to Barbra Streisand, Judy Garland, all the greats, Billie Holiday, and I sang along with them. Eventually, I graduated with a BFA, and I didn't feel I was ready, so I escaped to Southern Methodist University to do more classical theater, like Moliere, Shakespeare, you name it. So while I was there, they were having auditions for Timberlake Playhouse, and one of the musicals was West Side Story. Now, I have to tell you, I'm not a great dancer. I don't know how I got that gig. I really don't know how but I think that I move well. So I was, like you right now, if you did West Side Story at Timberlake, you'd have your choice of so many incredible dancer, actor, singers, because the world is full of them now, especially Latinos, where, in New York alone, it's just amazing the talent that's out there. Amazing. So I was lucky enough to be cast as Anita. And we had a great time doing that. It was the summer of 1980, right?
I believe so.
There we go.
There's a picture of it.
Yeah, it's not so bad, right? That was
pretty good.
I wasn't bad.
Was great. Good form.
Yeah, I wasn't great, but I acted well.
What else did you do that summer?
I sang and I acted well. But my first memory of showing up to Timberlake, because I drove from Dallas, Texas, which is where I was studying. I had a car. My father, when he left me in Dallas, he left me the Buick, the brown Buick, so that I could have a car. He knew I needed a car. And I drove another actor, David. I forget his last name. David, he played Officer Krupke. Anyway, we drove together. I forget, it was like 24 hours. I don't know, Dallas, Chicago.
Something like that.
Yeah, right? Or maybe less.
It'd be a little less than that, maybe around 19 or so. Of course, back then you drove faster.
We ended up coming into Timberlake early in the morning. It was freezing cold and muddy. Mm-hmm. And it was just a shock to me, having been born in the Bronx, not being in a real rural area like that. I mean, Dallas, I wouldn't call Dallas rural.
No.
Illinois, around Mount Carroll is really, rural. And I was a little in shock, and I was in shock that I had to bathe in showers outside.
Right.
But I have to tell you, I was thinking about this, of what I would talk about. Now, I have to tell you, it was some of the most I remember those memories so well because I was so young and I took in everything. And I was so wanting everything. I wanted every bit of experience in the theater, even on the grounds of this muddy area with a theater and living in, with 2 or 3 people in these little beds. It was so much fun. And our company was so fabulous. I still keep in touch with Stephen Apostolina, who played Baby John. Geez. Help me out, Dan.
I wasn't here in 1980. I don't know. I have another picture of you, though, in 1980.
Right. Well, that's when I did Scapino.
Yeah,
We did Scapino. That was fun too. Look at that set. That was a great set.
yeah.
And that's the other thing. You guys have always have managed to have great sets for such a small space and small budget.
Yeah.
And
Was that put that picture up again, Dan? Is that Joe Montello that's with on the bench there?
oh my God,
Yes.
I
So
can't believe it. I worked with Joe Mantello.
We've been hearing great stories about Joe.
That's incredible. Well,
And you were here when Jane Howard was here as well. That year you would have had a crossover with her, right?
Who? Sorry,
Jane Howard?
No, no, no. I sadly
No crossover there. Okay.
before me or the year after. But
Gotcha.
there were so many wonderful people that came out of that West Side Story cast, and I still keep in touch with most of them today. And so, what else?
Jim tells the story of how he found you to come back out here.
That's a great story. It's amazing.
Yeah, cleaning the dressing rooms and finding
He found
a
a
card from you.
postcard.
Yeah,
James found a postcard that I had written to one of the actors, because I really believe that when you open a show, you should write a little postcard to your castmate. I always do that, and I give them a little gift. I do that. They don't do that anymore that much. It's really kind of sad. Anyway, so we found the postcard behind when you were renovating or something.
yeah, behind one of the mirrors.
And so he contacted me.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd love to work there again. And unfortunately, I couldn't do Norma Desmond because I had already gotten this play in New York, off-Broadway, and I couldn't say no to an off-Broadway gig in Manhattan at the Cherry Lane Theater, which was 10 blocks away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could walk there from your house.
I actually walk there every day. I walk to the Cherry Lane every day. So I had to pass up on it. I was so sorry about that. And then he came back to me with Gypsy. And there was no way I was not going to do Gypsy.
Well, and you came out and did such a marvelous job with that show.
Well, I hope so. I always felt like I didn't have enough rehearsal time because it's a very short schedule, the summer theater, you just bang these shows out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I could do Rose now like that because it's in my head now, but that was the first time I did it. So it was just unbelievably difficult.
Yeah.
But even
one of my favorite pictures.
yeah. I love that. I love that theater. It's the best theater to play in. Because of the raked seating, and I was already trained in a thrust theater, so I knew my points of focus. And you can do that at Cedar Lake. There's so many great places, and who have, depending on who's lighting, can capture so many great moments. The lighting can be, because you have all this big overhead, old-fashioned style, but I love it. It's fantastic. So I felt so comfortable doing Mama Rose because she would be sort of in an old theater, she would have done this. So it was perfect. It was the perfect venue to play Mama Rose.
So tell us a little bit about what happened after you left us in 1980. You went on to become a very popular TV star.
Well, okay, so I moved to New York, and I was a singing waiter there, by the way, for a long time. Not for a long time, it was probably like 2 years on and off. I did I got a call from my agent because I had an agent because I got a movie while I was in Dallas. So I had my Screen Actors Guild card, and I was able to go to New York with a SAG card and with a lot of theater experience. And my agent called me. She says, "You have to get on a train right now to the Long Wharf Theater, and you're auditioning for Catherine and from the Bridge." I said, "But I've never even read it yet. You know, I didn't even read it." She says, "Just read it on the train." So that's what I did. I get there, I read it on the train, I get there. I read from the book, which they don't let you do anymore. You have to know everything offhand. It was Tony LoBianco playing Eddie and Arvin Brown directing. He was the artistic director for New Haven for many years. I got the part. We did the show there. Arthur Miller came often to see the show, which was one of the most exciting moments of my early career, personally connecting with Arthur Miller on a, face to face. He was just a beautiful man. He was tall and so powerful looking and so, I'd experienced his words at that point for a month or more, but just to see him in person was just overwhelming. Anyway, next thing I know, it's moving to Broadway. I get to Broadway with Arthur Miller's View from the Bridge. I get seen by a lot of casting people, theater directors. One thing led to another. I got an audition. First I did a movie called Beat Street, which is now a cult movie about breakdancing and graffiti. It's kind of fun. It's a real cult movie. And I played the little ingenue in that. And then I get a call for something called, it was another name, which wound up being Miami Vice. I go meet with Michael Mann and the director, Thomas Carter. And next thing I know, I'm being flown out to LA for a screen test for what we call them, the suits.
Yeah.
The suits sit in a darkened makeshift little theater room, and they've come from meetings and whatever. And you go in and you audition with the scenes that they want you to see you in. I auditioned with the actor from the motorcycle TV show. I forget his name, Michael. Anyway, he didn't get the part. Sorry, he didn't get the part. And next thing I know, I get the part. I'm going to be shooting a pilot for NBC. Next thing I know, I have to move back to Florida, which I was not happy about. Did not want to leave New York City, but I got paid a lot of money, so I had to do it, and I needed to pay my bills and my student loans. So we did that. I did that, and next thing I know, it's like picked up and it's a hit. Yeah.
And there it is. It's amazing that journey. And I have to just make a quick point because, Sandra, I was of the age when Beat Street was released. I was a young breakdancer myself in Chicago.
No.
Yes. And I have to tell you, I loved that movie. I saw that movie when it first came out. And all of my friends and we must have gone back and saw it like 10 times.
Yeah,
Because it was just such an amazing time. And I really, really loved your performance in that because you played the graffiti guy's girlfriend, right?
Yes, the girlfriend, Ramos's girlfriend.
Ramos's lady. And it was amazing. Your performance was great. And I just, it
was no big deal.
I loved it.
It's it's a moment in time that for some reason kind of clicks with young people. And we
It's that
shot.
time in New York that what's so perfect about that time in New York. It's like a little like frozen moment that will probably never be again, you know?
Exactly. And it was all shot in the Bronx and different parts of New York City on a dime, produced by Henry Belafonte. So, yeah. And a very, very famous producer who recently passed away. I feel so bad that I forget his name. Oh, I'll remember it in a minute. You know, when you, so many names that I've come across, I just, you know.
But then you go from somebody like, you go from a movie, so you do Beat Street, which was a movie, then you're on Miami Vice. Obviously, we all know that Miami Vice gets picked up, becomes a huge hit, and almost pretty much defines the 80s. What was your experience as an actress approaching the work? Did you find that there was a difference in your approach from stage acting to film acting to television acting, and how those characters were created?
Well, you know, it's a good question. That's a very good question, because when I did Beat Street, I got my first, well, actually, I did a movie in Dallas. That was my first movie called Awakening. And that's my first getting my feet in to film. And I was working with two great actors from Yale, from the Yale Theater, called David Marshall Grant and I forget the anyway. So that was the first time I realized all the workings of film, and you know, and then you stand on the line, you can't go past that line. So when I did Beat Street, I had a little bit of knowledge of that, and I picked it up right away. And then when I did Vice, Miami Vice, somehow it came very easy to me. And I instinctually knew that I had to pull back on emotion a lot. You know, if some of the directors were great and they'd say you can pull back, or they would say you can do more. I said, well, if you want me to do more, don't tease me, because I can do a lot more. Because in theater, you have to project much more. But they always knew when to pull me back or forward. And they took so many takes that they could cut. You know, they'd either use the take when I'm a little bit less emotional, or the one that's more emotional, depending on the show. So I never thought about that. I just, you know, adapted to it very well. And I really loved it too. I loved being in a room with all these crew, and, you know, I wanted to know if they were on a close-up, because I hadn't really known about camera work. So I would go like this to the cameraman. I'd go, is it here? Here. Was it here? Was it here? Because half the time they don't tell you what shot they're doing. You have to listen very carefully if you want to be good in every shot.
Well, I came across some of those shots that I have here. I'm going to see if I can get it up right in my, there we go.
Yeah, that is the pilot. And I really hate the way I look in there. I wish that if someone had told me not to be frowning. That was fun.
How did you like working with Don Johnson on the show?
Oh, he was great. You know, he was great with me. He wasn't always pleasant. This was the scene that got me the gig. I have to go into the bathroom and he follows me. And I made a mistake in that scene in words, and they used that one because I remember stopping and said, well, no, don't, no, wait. And they went, no, don't worry, we'll do another one. They ended up using what I screwed up.
There are no mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes are the real gems, aren't they?
That's true. So, you know, so to all actors, don't be afraid to screw up.
Sandra, we have a couple of comments I want to share with you.
Oh,
From Arlene.
Arlene!
Hi, from Ed and Arlene Jursak. Love you and love your masks. For those of you that don't have Sandra on their Facebook, Sandra models
that I'll send her some. She needs some.
From Joe Titus, from the only other person to be in both productions of West Side Story and Gypsy.
And Gypsy, wow.
And Bob Martin, Sandra, Barbie, and I will always remember meeting last night and how you gave advice to your fellow castmates. Very special.
Oh.
Also, congrats on being Zoom certified. Sandra, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Am I done?
Well, we're getting almost to 7:30, and I've got Carl sitting in the green room.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh,
hey, Carl.
Say,
Carl. You take all the time you want.
I just want to say one thing. That Gypsy is one of the most highlights of my life. Okay? And I want all people to go back. If you're famous, you're not famous, or whatever, go back when you can and work on that stage. It's the most perfect stage to play, to screw up, to have fun, to create. Just do it. And I hope to God that next year I will see your new schedule.
Yeah, we do too.
You definitely will, Sandra. And you are always welcome back here at Timberlake Playhouse. Anytime you want to come back. I know that we would love to get you back on the stage if that's something you wish to do. If not, come as an audience.
I would love it. Thank you.
Yay. I'm going to take you up on that.
Oh, I will. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dan. And Carl, have a good talk.
Thanks, Sandra.
Bye, Sandra.
It's good to see you again.
You too. Mwah.
Well, hello, Carl.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, Carl. Hi, guys. How do you follow that lovely
I
lady?
think you have something on in the background. We're getting feedback.
You're getting feedback from me?
Yes.
All right, let me put on my earphones. Hold on a second. See if that works. Very high tech over here. Very high tech.
All right.
No, is that better?
I'm still getting a feedback from you.
Might be another device if you have another device on as well. Like if you have your computer and a phone, that would do it too.
How are we now?
Well, I don't hear it.
Is that better?
All right. I think we're good.
I don't hear it. Can you hear me now? I think we're good. All right.
Oh, still coming.
Still coming.
Now that we got all the kinks worked out, let's do this.
Is somebody okay? Well, there we go. Is somebody else? What we're getting is we're getting a feedback from the YouTube broadcast. There's an 8-second delay to the YouTube broadcast that we're getting.
Oh, that's not me. I don't have anything on.
All right. Well, let's give this a try. Hello, Carl. How are you?
Hi.
So, Carl, tell us when you were first with us at Timberlake and how long you were here in the company.
I came in, my first season was 2002. I did the entire season, and it was truly a life-changing experience. and one of the defining things of my entire career, because it set up how I work from that point on. It was wonderful. I did a couple of the shows, Joseph, Send Me No Flowers, Footloose, Children of a Lesser God, Sound of Music, Picasso at the La Panagile. Yeah, it was dynamite first season.
How many years were you with us?
I've done 6 different seasons at TLP. From 2002, I did 2003, I did 2005, I did 2009, 2012, and most recently in 2015.
What year did you do Footloose? What year was that?
That's an interesting question, because I did that 2 times, 10 years apart. I did it first year in 2002 when I was just a wee bairn, and then 10 years later I did the anniversary with my now wife, and I was much more mature then. Yeah, so it was a great time. Both times it was fantastic.
And you and your wife came back to do 2015.
2015, Big Fish, yeah. Yes! That's that Hamilton choreography, yes. Graceful, elegant. Look at the line. It's so beautiful. There's my lovely wife. Yes, indeed.
And there's a picture of you and Liz.
Yep. That was just such a great show. It was so much fun.
Backdrop to that show.
Oh, really?
Yep. Just found it.
That's incredible. Wow.
Carl, you know what? Talk a little bit about
yeah, and
how did you come to Timberlake back in from 2000 2000 was it 2000 your first season? What was your journey to get there? Did you study?
It was a crazy first encounter. But I had seen the audition for Timberlake House in I think it was Perform Inc. or something like that back in the day in Chicago, and I had conflicts every day of the audition, so I couldn't make it. So I called up the then artistic director, Brad Lyons, and I sent him an email or something like that. No, maybe email wasn't a thing then. It was back in the day. And I called him and I said, look, I can't make this, but I really want to audition for Children of a Lesser God. I had recently done a show with sign language. I taught myself, and I thought this would be a great show. I'd love to do it. And he agreed to take time out of his schedule to come to where I was. Like he happened to be in the surrounding area of Chicago. And I remember he auditioned in an office space of my then girlfriend. She had a job where they had a conference room, and I auditioned for him then. It was very impromptu, very informal, but I auditioned for Children of a Lesser God, and he's like, do you sing? And I'm like, sure, I sing, sure. And he's like, sing me something. And I sang, and he's like, cool, all right. I think I got a season for you. And then he put me in everything that season. I mean, I did Captain Von Trapp and Sound of Music. I did Reverend Shaw and Footloose. I did Children of a Lesser God, and it was just such an amazing, intense opportunity that I can never fully repay Brad for, because it was just great. Yeah.
Well, I have heard so many wonderful stories about your performing. I had and your acting, and you're just an overall. I mean, everybody who speaks about you has nothing but positive, wonderful things to say about you. Now, what happened after Timberlake? Tell us a little bit about your journey. You're Chicago based. And
Yep.
And how did your experience with Timberlake, carry you into the next chapter of your career?
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that everybody's speaking very highly of me. I pay those people very well, so it's good to know that money is well spent. TLP, first of all, I love returning to TLP because there's nothing like it, and the audiences out there, well, are just the most warm and loving people. Appreciative and enthusiastic, and you just want that in the audience anytime you do theater. What I learned from TLP in fact that very first year is, if you can do TLP and you can do summer stock in general, like there's nothing you can't do, because you're like, okay, I just learned 3 shows in basically the space of the time that I would learn one, and I did it back to back, and I built the set at the time and took care of the campus, and you work in all these different elements. You just feel such a sense of accomplishment, and you really learn how to test and push your limits. So I learned how to make bold choices, because you're not going to have a lot of time. You got to really go for it and make those big leaps. Otherwise, you've just wasted your rehearsal. I learned you got to learn your lines as fast as humanly possible and as solidly as you can. Always got to put that paramount, because getting that book out of your hand, that's when the real magic happens. And I think the last thing that I learned was that the friends that you're going to make at TLP and the friends that you're going to make in those situations, they're going to be friends of yours for life. They're going to be friends of yours. I met Courtney Krause when I was doing Buddy, the Buddy Holly musical. And I had only met him once. We'd heard of each other from the theater world, but I'd only met him like for a couple of days. And I had to go back to Chicago I think I had to officiate a wedding or something like that. And he just gives me the keys to his car and just like, here you go, gas it up, have it back. I'm like, I don't know you, but you really do. In Timberlake, people like you go to war with those people, and they're friends for life. It's the best.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned the Buddy Holly story. Who were you in the Buddy Holly story?
I was, my main character was the Big Bopper, which was so awesome. You just come on at the 11th hour and just like 100%, hello, baby. And everybody knows who you are. And that last concert is just so much fun. But I also played like bit characters, like I was their agent. And I had such fun just jumping in, having fun with a scene, then jumping back out. It's a great little jukebox musical. I loved it. And I loved all the people that were a part of it. It was so much fun.
Joe Titus comments, it was fun doing the Clear Lake scene from Buddy.
Yeah. He was so, listen, everybody who jumps in and is like, they make sort of a cameo appearance. My God, it's like, it adds such a beautiful spice to the show. And I love Joe, and I'm really glad that he's watching.
So it was right after you left here in 2016.
2015, I think was the last time.
Or
yeah.
2015. And I'm watching TV and I see you pop up in a commercial. Tell us about your commercial.
You know what? I have no idea how that happened, but it's just one of those things where it's like people can only take me in like 30-second chunks. That's about it. On TV, I have a face for 30 seconds on TV. That's about it. So I think, were you referring to the AT&T commercial? You referring to the Sears commercial? What were you referring to? Such a wide pantheon of my works.
The first one I saw was the Sears commercial, and there was like a series of Sears commercials.
Yeah,
and then we saw the AT&T commercial too. But
commercials put things very much in perspective. I'll tell you that the AT&T commercial that I did, where I was wigging out in Grand Central Station, that paid me more money for one day than I earned in my entire theatrical career for like 2 years. I was like, wow, I'm in the wrong business. But I wouldn't trade. That being said, I wouldn't trade anything for the time that I spent at TLP and the time that I spent on stage. It's the best.
Yeah. I think the adage is you have to become a successful commercial or TV actor so you can do theater.
To supplement your habit is basically to pay for your addiction.
Carl, share with us a memory, because obviously you've been here for so many seasons, and it has been obviously clearly you love it here, and we love you having you. Give us a memory. Is there something that really stands out?
I got plenty of stories. Believe me, there are plenty of stories. But one of them, that first year, I experienced a beautiful balance. So I was doing what was it? I was doing Footloose, and this was the first time. And to sum it all up, the Reverend and his wife are waiting at home for their daughter, who's supposed to be there, and she's supposed to be at a friend's house, but actually she slipped off to Chicago and had a night out with the bad people, dancing and listening to music, the devil's music. And my daughter's supposed to show up, and that continues the scene. Like I say, where have you been? And blah, 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 and berate her. And I think I end up slapping her or something like that. So we get to that point and she doesn't show up. Like there's no one there. And I look off to the wings, and the assistant stage manager's just like, so I was like, I gotta find out what's going on. We can't move the scene. So I was like, that's it. I'm gonna call the police. And I walk off stage, and my poor wife at the time, not my actual wife, my stage wife, is just sitting there knitting, just shucks. And I go off stage to ask the stage manager what's going on. And he's like, I don't know where she is. I'm like, okay, all right, I gotta find a context to get back on. So I was like, I rushed back on, and I'm like, 48 hours. This is 48 hours before they'll report a person missing. And I was like, I don't know. I just know that stat. So, and then eventually, like 10 seconds later, she shows up. And never in my life did the words, "Where have you been?" had more subtext. I was like, what? So that was the first half of it. The second half of it is that I was doing Captain Von Trapp and Sound of Music. And, we introduce all the children, and I'm like, okay. And I go off, and I'm changing into my next thing, which was like, I'm going to have dinner and get into that costume. And the stage manager comes rushing into the dressing room. He's like, Carl, you're on stage. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I just jet off. And I didn't want to run all the way around theater because my entrance is on the other side of the stage. So I just run backstage. But Maria's got the door open. She's looking into the room that she's not supposed to be looking into. She's got the room open. And I'm like, I'll be right there. And I'm just running. I run to the other door, and I come in, and I'm like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be looking in that room. So I did both sides of it. It was the one waiting on stage and the one who waits on stage.
Talk about balance. Talk about your balance.
You gotta balance it out.
Well, Carl, that was so amazing. We can't thank you enough for not only sharing your talents with TLP audiences for as many years as you did, but thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking about your experiences here at TLP. We've got some comments. People clearly love you and remember very fondly.
Oh, that's so nice. Bob has been the nicest and most generous person I have met at TLP. He and Bobby have taken us out to dinner. They've been the best human beings in the world. And like I say, you meet people out at TLP, you're meeting the best human beings. So anytime I can come back out there, I'll play a coat rack. I'm fine. I'm worth the wait? I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm worth the wait. Oh my God. Oh, that's my favorite. Jim Beaudry. Jim Beaudry, the former artistic director, he put me up when I went out. I did an audition out in New York, and he hosted me. He just put me up for the night. Like I say, generosity and just salt of the earth, amazing people from TLP. So thank you, Jims. Who's that? Judy Newton! Oh my God! I met Judy Newton. She was doing what? Ragtime out there, and I think she did Working too. My God, she's an amazing performer. And I brought her into my city. Chicago is my city, guys. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, that's your city. We were wondering. Yeah. Okay.
It's my town. So who else we got? Van Smith. Oh my goodness, one of my favorites. Aw. See, I told you, I pay people very well. You got to put that money where it works. Yay! Glennon. Oh my goodness. Oh Oh,
Some great
goodness.
people. Well, again, you know what? You
Lovely,
are welcome
lovely
out here,
people.
and be careful what you wish for, because if you want to come back, I will make that happen.
Oh, I would love it, man. I'm glad to have met you. I hope to come out there. Whatever you need, I'm there. You know, I shouldn't say that, but I
Absolutely.
absolutely mean that 100%. I'd love to come back.
Well, one Chicago boy to another, we got to stick together, and we will definitely be in touch with that. Thank you so much
Thank you.
again for coming on tonight. You're an absolute wonderful human, and you are a very funny man as well. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. It's not just look.
Look who else is watching tonight.
Huh?
Look who else is watching tonight.
Hyphen! I love Hyphen. Hyphen Filer Petke. I love him. Gosh.
Oh, and by the way, I do have a hello from you for Kyle Simpson. He wanted me to tell you hello. He was out here the other over the weekend helping me out with a project, and he was raving about you. You know, when I said I told him you were going to be on the show tonight, and he said, "You got Carl coming on the show." Yes.
It's the best. It's the best. Yeah.
Well, Carl,
anytime,
thank
guys,
you so much.
I got more stories. I got more stories. So anytime you guys want me back, I got lots of seasons.
All right. We'll do that. We'll have a
Good to
Chicago
see you.
night.
I really hope so. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Carl, thank you.
Carl.
It was great
Thank
seeing
you.
you. And appreciate your work here at TLP.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Well, there we go. Another
How about
great
that?
night, TLP Live.
Another couple of great guests, Dan.
Oh my gosh.
I just love, you know what, so much talent comes through TLP doors, and I'm just so grateful. And it's just, again, just part of a legacy that continues on. And we are very fortunate to know that such talented people come through the doors and come back and talk about the magic of Timberlake. It is really, truly amazing.
Absolutely. Well, we ran a little over tonight, but we were working on Carl's technology problems beforehand, so we started a little late. but I
think it was worth it. I think the guests were worth it, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Sandra was so interesting, and we could have probably gone another half an hour with her.
I tell you, we always do that. We could probably give a show to all of these, amazing alumni that come on, and we're trying to balance it, but you get carried away in their stories.
Well, and it's hard sometimes because there are some nights where it's like 20 minutes left and we're about done. You start getting nervous. Are we going to make it till 7:30?
Exactly.
And then other nights where, oh my God, it's 7:15 and we haven't even brought on our other guests yet. So, but this was a great night. I certainly enjoyed talking with Sandra and seeing Carl again. We didn't get a chance to talk to Carl about the new show that he did. And I can't think of the title of it. It's the roller coaster show. But he did that show at Chicago Shakespeare, and then they took it out to an off-Broadway run for a while. And
is that like Flight of the Lawnmower or some chair or something?
No, gosh, it just for some reason that the name won't come to me. Bob will remember the name of the show. Bob posted in the comments for me. I just can't remember the name of that show. But he played like that fortune teller that sits in the box you put your quarter in, and you get a fortune that comes out Zoloff or whatever it is. That's the role he played. And then everyone on the roller coaster is dead, and you're trying to you figure that out halfway through the show. But it was a great show, just a great show. And then they took that out to an off-Broadway run for a while. And the ironic thing was, I went in to see Carl, and in a show at the Goodman, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, I don't see Carl. So I texted him. He said, "Oh, I left the show Saturday. I'm in New York doing whatever this other show was." So, anywho,
I tell you, the life of the actor, right, Dan? It's
absolutely. So
they go around. Ride the Cyclone is the name of the show.
Cyclone. Okay, very good. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Ride the Cyclone. Well, thanks everyone. Great to see you all tonight. Great to see you. We'll see you tomorrow. Paul will be here for our Pop Star Kids coming out, and another week of getting campus ready and put together for when we can open and all meet out here again.
Absolutely. And don't forget to get your party box, get your gala tickets. It's going to be a smash of a night. And we're even going to allow, if you're local and you want to come pick up your party box, you can do that and actually take a little tour of the campus and see all the changes that are going on.
I was just going to mention that on the 18th of August, if for those of you that have been asking us, hey, we'd just like to come out to the campus. We actually had an alumni here today. An alumnus rather. He's from Quad Cities, and he was in Oliver way back in 1970, I think he said. He was one of Fabian's, or not Fabian. Who's the character?
It's no. Now you made me.
Now I get. Anyway, he was one of the orphans.
Yeah.
One of the kids and the workhouse kids. That's it. And he was just amazed at the changes and just loved walking through. And he walked through the campus. They walked through the trails. And on the 18th of February, those of you that want to come pick up your party box, we'll have a little card for you. It'll give you some of the points of interest to take a little self-guided walking tour of the place. But I tell you, as we know, you can be feeling down and you come out here and walk around and it just feels great. So we're going to open that up to our patrons and our gala ticket holders. So.
Fagan,
we better get off. We're about 15 minutes long tonight, so
we
Paul,
should go.
Have a good rest of your evening. And
bye,
we'll
everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all. And as we say every week, we'll get back together. But for now, we're all in this together.